Chapter 1698. Yi Qianshan felt even more embarrassed. She lowered her head, pushed him away and sat down. The handsome boy took out a wooden board with the date and date written on it. It was 5 years from today. Yi Qianshan wrote her name in Chinese. Shinjilia took it and wrote, "Baby, Daddy knew you'd come, Shinjilia." Yi Qianshan looked at it and said, "Hey, what if you don't come with me in 5 years? Won't it be awkward to see this board?" "No, I'll definitely come with you and I'll bring a child with me." Shinjilia gestured in front of him. "This big. I'll hold it in my arms and then we'll have a romantic date for 30 to 50 years. Yeah, life will be perfect." Shinjilia's wild and unrealistic words were all about the beautiful future he had planned for her. Yi Qianshan's heart seemed to be gently stirred by something, and an indescribable throbbing rippled in her heart. Seeing that Yi Qianshan was in a daze, Shinjilia quietly leaned over and whispered, "Are you very touched?" Yi Qianshan's throbbing was scared away. She waved her hand disdainfully and said, "Feel your ass." Shinjilia dodged in time and laughed. "All right, let's go back after dinner. Aren't you tired after playing all day?" "No, I want to see the night view. I heard that Venice is very beautiful at night." Yi Qianshan looked at Shinjilia with a yearning expression. "It's very beautiful." "Okay." Shinjilia went back to sit down. When he looked up, he saw a waitress carrying a tray over and placing a glass of blue liquid in front of Yi Qianshan. "Your drink, promise of romance." As soon as the drink was placed on the table, Yi Qianshan felt her eyes light up. The design of the glass was very special. There was a white light at the bottom of the glass, illuminating the floating silver stars in the blue liquid. It was like the stars in the night sky. It was so beautiful that it was hard to take one's eyes off it. "It's so beautiful." Yi Qianshan stared at the drink in front of her. Her eyes were full of amazement. It was a dark-colored drink, but it was as beautiful as the Milky Way in the night sky. Yi Qianshan picked up her phone and took several photos. She added filters to make them even more beautiful. "Wow, it's great. Promise of Romance was really worthy of this name. Beautiful and romantic." Yi Qianshan posted it on her WeChat Moments with the caption, "5 years, our romantic engagement." After she was done, Yi Qianshan picked up the straw and put it in. He had just taken a whiff, but it didn't seem to have any taste. But in the middle of the drink, a layer of white seemed to float. Like cream. Yi Qianshan held the drink in her mouth. After a while, she felt a cooling sensation. The texture was amazing. Yi Qianshan had never had such a special drink before. It tasted like mint, but it also had a hint of creamy sweetness. "It's delicious," Yi Qianshan exclaimed. "It's just a little expensive." Shinjilia reached out his hand. Chapter 1699. Shinjilia looked down and burst out laughing. He said, "So what if you've drunk it? We've already kissed. What's there to be afraid of?" Yi Qianshan felt a little uncomfortable when she heard that. Although it was the truth, saying it out loud. Why did it feel so strange? Shinjilia clearly saw her face turn red. She looked as if she had seen a ghost. He said, "Are you shy?" Yi Qianshan was furious when she heard that and retorted, "Shy my ass. TSK. What's there to be shy about? We're a couple. Don't be afraid." Shinjilia waved his hand and took another 2 sips. Yi Qianshan felt her heart ache. "Give it back to me. Leave some for me." Shinjilia was indifferent. In the end, Yi Qianshan had to step forward and pull it off. She drank it in one gulp. Not long after, Yi Qianshan felt a little dizzy, and her face was a little hot. When she walked out of the restaurant, a warm breeze blew, and Yi Qianshan felt a little tipsy. Was there alcohol in the drink? Why do I feel like I drank too much? Yi Qianshan's footsteps became a little crooked as she walked. She turned her head to look at Shinjilia and suddenly said, "You didn't do something to the drink, did you?" Shinjilia reached out to support her. The words that were on the tip of his tongue were swallowed back by her words. The expression on his face was one of helplessness and despair. He said, "If I wanted to do anything to you, do you think you'd still be alive today? You're too naive." "Then why do I feel so dizzy? It's like I drank alcohol. I just ate red wine snails." "But would you get drunk with that little bit of alcohol?" "No. Maybe the drink just now had alcohol in it." Shinjilia glanced at her. "Don't worry. I don't need to drug you." D***MN. What do you mean by that? Yi Qianshan raised her fist and waved it. Shinjilia held her little fist and said helplessly, "Stop fooling around. If you're not feeling well, go back first. You'll definitely do something to me when we get back to the hotel." "Bah? Do you really think I'm so hungry that I can't be choosy? Dream on." Shinjulia's face was full of disdain. Why don't you walk back by yourself? No. Hold me. I'm dizzy. Yi Qianshan twisted her body, placed her hands on his shoulders and rubbed her body against his. Yi Qianshan's body felt warm and soft. Caught off guard, Shinjulia was brushed against a few times, and his body tensed up slightly. He quickly pushed her lightly and said, "Calm down." Yi Qianshan's head was spinning. It felt like she had drunk several glasses of white wine. There must be alcohol in that drink. There wasn't any problem when he drank it, but he didn't expect there to be a backlash. Yi Qianshan frowned at his gentle push and asked, "You drank it too? Are you feeling dizzy too? Are you kidding me? I'm from the north. I can hold my liquor much better than you. Let me carry you." With that, Shinjulia carried her in his arms. Yi Qianshan smiled drunkenly and said, "Carry me." She leaned against him with a clear conscience and wrapped her arms around his neck. A pair of eyes stared straight at his chin. His skin was smooth and there was a faint layer of green. It was very clean and fair. His face made one feel comfortable like the sun shining brightly. Yi Qianshan stared at him and leaned forward to kiss him. Shinjulia's hand trembled, and he almost threw her away. Chapter 1700. Yi Qianshan noticed his reaction and burst out laughing. She found it amusing, so she raised her head and kissed him again. This time, Shinjulia was prepared, so he didn't have any reaction. He deliberately glanced at her with a straight face and said, "Are you going to come down yourself or do you want me to throw you down?" Yi Qianshan quickly wrapped her arms around his neck and closed her eyes. Shinjulia walked toward the shore step by step. Because it was night time, there were many more water taxis. Shinjulia gave the address of the hotel and carried Yi Qianshan in to lie down. As soon as she got on the boat, Yi Qianshan immediately got up. She didn't look as weak as before. Shinjulia was so angry that he laughed and said, "Are you messing with me?" Yi Qianshan turned her head and chuckled. Shinjulia then realized that her face was completely red. From her cheeks to her forehead, it was a clear sign that she had been drinking. He reached out to touch her face. It was warm. Yi Qianshan slapped his hand away in disgust. She leaned against the window and looked out. The water taxis shuttled through various waterways. Everywhere they went, the scenery outside was brilliant. The clear and deep water reflected the dazzling lights of various colors. It was so fast that Yi Qianshan felt like she was in a dream. Her head was dizzy. Shenjilia supported her from behind, afraid that she would lose her balance and fall. Yi Qianshan, on the other hand, was steady. She leaned against the window with an intoxicated look on her face. It took about 20 minutes to reach their destination. Yi Qianshan saw that everything had stopped and turned her head to look behind her. Shenjilia paid the taxi fare. When he noticed her gaze, he snorted with an indescribable emotion. Then he turned around and opened the door. Shenjilia looked at Yi Qianshan and half carried her down. It wasn't easy at all. Yi Qianshan blinked and asked, "Shenjilia, you have to take care of me when you come out to play. Aren't you tired?" Shenjilia looked gratified as he placed his hand on her forehead and stroked her. He nodded and said, "You finally realized it. Not bad. Go away." Yi Qianshan slapped his hand away. "Don't carry me if you're tired. I can walk on my own." "Umph." Shenjilia scooped her up in his arms. "Even if I'm tired, this is all I can do. Don't tell me I don't care about you." "I'm not crippled. I can walk on my own." Yi Qianshan struggled a little. Shenjilia immediately held her down. "Don't move. You're so heavy. If you move, I'll fall too." Shenjilia. "Aha, behave yourself." With that said, he strode into the hotel. The security checked the key card, then brought them to the elevator door, pressed the elevator button and sent them in. Yi Qianshan leaned on Shenjilia's shoulder. She stared at Shenjilia's chin with her eyes that were neither sober nor dizzy. Shenjilia knew that she was looking at him. Chapter 1705. Shenjilia couldn't help kissing her neck. He placed his hands by her side and asked in a husky voice, "Does it feel good?" Yi Qianshan was already a little embarrassed. When he asked her that question, she felt even more embarrassed. She glared at him, but he slammed into her again. "Oh, ah." Yi Qianshan's eyes welled up with tears. When she heard her embarrassed voice, she gritted her teeth. Shenjilia seemed to be addicted to it. He let out a low, husky breath. It sounded like he was moaning and deliberately seducing her. What was worse was that Yi Qianshan felt that he was extremely sexy when he did that. He was crazy. Yi Qianshan had tasted the sweetness and was no longer so resistant. This continued for a very, very long time. Yi Qianshan couldn't take it anymore and pushed him away. Shenjilia continued for a while longer before he stopped. Tired? So tired. It was rare for Yi Qianshan to wake up early and run 2 laps. She had never been so tired before. Her eyelids were fighting and her body felt like it was falling apart. It was extremely uncomfortable. The most uncomfortable thing was that when she finally rested, she realized that the bed sheets were wet. Yi Qianshan turned over and lay on top of him. She was too lazy to move and asked, "What time is it?" Shenjilia looked around and finally moved to the bedside table to pick up a phone. He looked at it and was silent for a moment before he said, "Let's sleep." "What time is it?" "Well, it's almost 12. Yi Qianshan looked up suddenly. She was stunned at first, then she exclaimed in disbelief, "It was only 8 when you came in." "Well, I think so. D***M you?" Yi Qianshan suddenly felt wronged. "You have***ed me for more than 3 hours. Are you still human?" Sob, sob, sob. "My bones are falling apart." Shenjilia laughed when he heard that. "Can't you have some self-awareness as a woman?" "What are you saying? How am I not a woman? If you have the guts, go sleep with a man." Shenjilia laughed even louder. He hugged her and said, "Go take a shower." "I don't want to move. I'm tired." Yi Qianshan lay on top of him and looked at him pitifully. Shenjilia sat up and carried her in his arms. "Let me help you," he said. Yi Qianshan immediately got up and shook her head. "No, I'll go by myself." "What are you afraid of? Which part of your body haven't I seen before?" Yi Qianshan reached out and pinched his waist. "So what if I've seen it? I'm not going to wash it for you." It didn't hurt, but Shenjilia immediately wailed and said, "Ouch! You're trying to murder your husband." "Scram. I'm going to take a bath." Yi Qianshan pulled her pajamas over to cover her body. She glanced at the wet bedsheets. There were a few spots of blood on them and they were mottled and messy. "The bed is dirty. Go take a shower. I'll call someone to change the sheets." "I don't think so. Wouldn't they know what we did?" He suddenly flipped over and pinned Yi Qianshan beneath him. Unlike the gentleness from before, he exerted all his strength on her, as if he wanted to crush her to death. Yi Qianshan felt a little uncomfortable. She tried to push him away but he wouldn't budge. What are you doing? Do you think you're that light? I'll be crushed to death by you later. Crush you to death? How dare you defile me? Chapter 1734. Shinjulia's lips tightened. He quickly walked into the elevator and went in first. Which floor? Fang Tong Tong walked in and reached out to press the doorbell. Shinjulia didn't say a word. He pressed the button and went up. His expression didn't look too good and he didn't say a word. He held Yi Chanchan in his arms and stared at the reflective surface of the elevator door. Yi Chanchan wasn't the only one. Even Fang Tong Tong could tell that the man was a little unhappy. Could it be because of what I said before? Fang Tong Tong felt that it was very possible. She glanced at Shinjulia and felt guilty. Yi Chanchan could clearly sense Fang Tong Tong's expression. She pursed her lips and narrowed her eyes, pretending not to see anything. Ding. The elevator arrived at the station. Shinjulia carried Yi Chanchan out first, and Fang Tong Tong naturally lagged behind. After Yi Chanchan was put down, Shinjulia opened the door, turned on the lights and walked in. Yi Chanchan turned her head and said, "Come in." Fang Tong Tong stuck out her tongue and quickly caught up to her. She whispered, "Is your boyfriend unhappy?" "Looks like it. He might be in a bad mood." "Why?" "Who knows? It's always like this. It's always strange." Fang Tong Tong looked a little uneasy and said, "It can't be because of me, can it? Does he not welcome me staying at your place? Why don't I find a hotel to sleep in?" Yi Chanchan's expression didn't look too good. She angrily said, "Why would you find a hotel? Just sleep here. He's not such a petty person. There must be something else. It's not because of you. Come in." Fang Tong Tong shook her head. "Forget it. I'd better leave." Fang Tong Tong. Yi Chanchan was furious. She reached out and pulled her in before closing the door. Fang Tong Tong was pulled in. The first thing she did was look for Shinjulia. "Where is he?" Yi Chanchan didn't notice that she was looking for him. She asked, "Are you taking a shower?" "I didn't bring any clothes. You have any?" Fang Tong Tong was still wearing her bridesmaid's outfit. It was a pretty little gauze gown with silicone patches underneath. It was a last-minute decision to stay in Kingstown, so there was no change of clothes. "I do, but I've worn them all before. I don't have any new underwear." Yi Chanchan glanced at her. "I can get you a set of pajamas." "It doesn't matter. It's not like I didn't wash it. Just wear it again." "No, I have a boyfriend. You can wear pajamas but not underwear." Yi Chanchan had always been straightforward, so Fang Tong Tong immediately understood what she meant. She nodded her head and didn't say anything. When Yi Chanchan walked into her room, she immediately saw Shinjulia standing by the window. When Yi Chanchan saw Shinjulia, she couldn't help but feel angry. Yi Chanchan closed the door and walked up to him. She placed her hand on his shoulder and asked, "What's the meaning of this?" "My best friend is staying at our place for a few days. Why are you giving her such a dirty look?" Shinjulia turned around and looked at Yi Chanchan's obviously unhappy face. He pursed his lips and said, "I think that your best friend doesn't know how to conduct herself. How could she just stay at someone else's place like that? Even if you're her best friend, you have no boundaries at all." More importantly, she had pretended not to know anything about what she had said to him in the hotel. This made Shinjulia feel a little disgusted. He was a psychologist, so he could vaguely guess what Fang Tong Tong was thinking.